why it would suck to wake up as a citizen of the Cities of Sigmar. Welcome back to Realm Lore Mops, the channel where we plunge headlong into the mortal realm's deepest secrets and drag you along for the ride. If you love the smell of gunpowder, the clang of hammers on steel, and the unending fear of chaos cults hiding under your floorboards, hit like, subscribe, and drop us a comment about which armies you're building, what lore you're obsessed with, or which corner of the realms you'd love us to dive into next. Now imagine waking up. Your eyes flicker open, not to the dawn of some safe medieval morning, but to an air thick with forge smoke and the acrid tang of black powder. Hammers ring against anvils in a deafening chorus, echoing between towers of carved stone and iron. You gasp and cough because even the air here tastes like hot metal. Around you, banners snap in the wind, bearing the hammer and twin-tailed comet of Sigmar. You try to stand, but the street is so crowded that your feet barely touch cobblestones polished smooth by countless boots. Traders bellow for attention. Militia drills clang in the square. A detachment of Stormcast Eternals stomps past in gleaming gold plate, each footstep a seismic shockwave. Above you loom colossal walls studded with artillery batteries. Steam tanks rumble by belching hot mist and steam. Griffon riders swoop overhead. Far off, an arcane spire glows as magisters channel raw magic into warding glyphs that hum faintly over the city's rooftops. Congratulations! You've woken up as a citizen of one of the Cities of Sigmar, and your life just became one unending trial of fear, labor, duty, and the grim realization that the mortal realms want you dead. To understand why, you need to know how the Cities of Sigmar came to be, and why their existence teeters forever on the brink of annihilation. The story of the Cities of Sigmar begins long before the Age of Sigmar. It begins in an age of fire, blood, and despair, the age of chaos. Thousands of years ago, the mortal realms were young and vibrant, a paradise where mortal civilizations flourished under the guidance of gods. Kingdoms rose in Gyran's lush forests, great empires of iron and crystal spread across Shamon's metallic plains, and endless cities glittered under Haisha's radiant light. But paradise never lasts. The forces of chaos poured into the mortal realms like an unstoppable tide. Daemon hosts clawed their way through realm gates. Sorcerer kings pledged entire nations to the ruinous powers. The mortal realms bled as cities were reduced to ash, forests were devoured by plague, and mountains fell under earthquakes conjured by dark rituals. Sigmar Heldenhammer, the god king himself, rallied mortal armies to resist. For centuries he fought and bled beside men, Duarden and Elves, wielding Galmaraz, his warhammer, to shatter Daemon princes and bring hope to dying lands. But even Sigmar could not hold back chaos forever. Eventually, the tide overwhelmed him. One by one, the great mortal civilizations fell. Survivors fled, driven before monstrous warbands, plague swarms and tides of bloodthirsty daemons. Cities crumbled into ruin. In the end, Sigmar retreated to Azir, slamming the gates of the heavens shut to protect what little remained. The realms were plunged into darkness. For centuries, the survivors lived in hiding, scattered across wildernesses ruled by chaos gods, hunted by beasts, cultists, and monsters. Yet Sigmar never forgot the realms. While the mortal realms drowned in blood and fire, Sigmar forged a new plan. In the forges of Azir, aided by Grungni, the Duardin god of smithing, he crafted the Stormcast Eternals, immortal warriors, reforged from mortal souls, clad in Sigmarite plate, each a living weapon designed to reclaim the realms. When the Age of Sigmar dawned, golden lightning cracked open the skies. Stormcast fell like meteors, striking down chaos warlords and driving daemons screaming back into the warp. In their wake, mortal survivors crawled from hiding, and so began the building of the Cities of Sigmar. The cities were not born overnight. Each began as little more than a fortified encampment, battered tents clustered around a realm gate, a handful of mortals huddled behind makeshift walls, guarded by Stormcast Eternals and Free Guild troops wielding black powder weapons. But as the chaos tide receded, these camps grew into townships and then into sprawling cities. Sigmar's vision was clear: to carve out bastions of civilization across every mortal realm, each a shining beacon of order, each linked by realm gates to Azir and to one another. These cities would become the backbone of humanity's resurgence and of all mortal races loyal to Sigmar. Hammerhal, the twin-tailed city, stands as the greatest of these experiments. Built across two realms, Akshi and Giran, it straddles a vast realm gate whose colossal arch rises higher than mountains. On one side, Hammerhal Aksha burns under an ever-blazing sun, filled with forges, foundries, and black powder manufactories. On the other side, Hammerhal Gyra overflows with gardens, healing springs, and shimmering jade architecture. Other cities followed. Anvilgard, rising like a dagger's point on the shores of the Charwind coast, shrouded in mists and corruption, its harbour a haven for pirates and secret deals. Excelsis, perched beside the Spear of Malice, where visions of the future are bought and sold like currency, and where paranoia festers beneath shining spires. Greywater Fastness, a fortress city in Giran, bristling with cannons, home to artillery guilds whose obsession with black powder borders on religious fanaticism. Or Hallowheart, a city ablaze with magical power, ruled by the collegiate arcane, where even the air hums with sorcery so intense it scars the soul. Each city is unique, shaped by the realm it calls home, and by the mortals who risk everything to build walls against chaos. But even as these cities grew, they were never truly safe. Chaos does not forget. Daemon princes plot their return. Chaos cults fester in alleyways and sewer tunnels, whispering poison into mortal ears. The green tide of Orruk warclans roams ever nearer. Skaven tunnel beneath city walls, setting charges to bring entire districts crashing into darkness. Undead warlords gather armies of bone and blood under the banners of Nagash. Every city exists balanced on a knife's edge between survival and annihilation. And for those who live there, the cost is staggering. Because to wake up as a citizen of the Cities of Sigmar means shouldering burdens most mortals could never imagine. You're not just a blacksmith, merchant, scholar, or soldier. You're a brick in the wall that keeps chaos from swallowing the world. Your entire existence revolves around vigilance. Every neighbour could be a chaos cultist. Every odd sound in the night might signal a Skaven breach. The city walls might fall tomorrow beneath a tidal wave of demonic flesh, or a plague might sweep through the streets, leaving nothing but corpses. You're a tiny mortal in a world filled with godlike threats. And your only hope lies in the strength of your city, the might of the Stormcast, and your own willingness to fight, bleed, and die for the dream of civilization. Because in the Cities of Sigmar, every day is a battle just to stay alive. And that's only the beginning of your problems. If you wake up as a citizen of the Cities of Sigmar, the very stone beneath your feet is part of the miracle and the nightmare that defines your new existence. Because building a city in the mortal realms isn't like building one in the old world. Every brick you lay is a gamble. Every tower you raise could become a beacon or a target. The cities are architectural wonders. They must be, because they have to stand against gods. Picture Hammerhal's colossal walls, thick enough for entire streets to run along the battlements. Black powder cannons line the parapets, cast in Sigmarite and etched with prayers to ward off chaos. Towers bristle with ballast iron mortars, each capable of spitting death hundreds of yards into the air. Gates are reinforced with layered iron and warding runes, designed to withstand not only battering rams but reality-warping sorcery. Yet stone and metal alone aren't enough. These cities are tied together by realm gates, colossal arches shimmering with arcane light, standing like silent sentinels at each city's heart. Realm gates are blessings and curses. They allow trade and reinforcements to flow between realms. They also give enemies a direct path into a city's guts if those gates are ever breached. That's why cities grow like coral around their realm gates, layers upon layers of walls, gates, watchtowers, and kill zones. Streets are built narrow and winding in outer districts, perfect for ambushes and traps if enemies break through. Closer to the center, streets broaden into grand avenues lined with statues of Sigmar, Stormcast heroes, and honored mortal defenders. Each city reflects its realm. In Hammerhal, the heat is overwhelming. Buildings are crafted from red stone, designed to endure relentless solar glare and winds carrying sparks from distant volcanoes. Streets are littered with forge slag, and the air forever carries the tang of molten metal. Massive chimneys spew smoke into an orange sky. Life here is defined by fire and by constant vigilance against flames that might not be entirely natural. Cross through the realm gate into Hammerhal, and it's a different world. Cool breezes rustle through towering jade towers. Buildings bloom with living vines. Freshwater streams flow through marble aqueducts, bringing life to emerald gardens and hanging terraces. The city pulses with Gairan's life energy, but behind its beauty lie dangers just as real. Creeping diseases, magical overgrowths, and monsters rising from once benign forests. In Greywater Fastness, the city is practically a fortress factory. Massive smokestacks rise like iron fingers, belching black clouds as forges and foundries work day and night. Streets echo with the constant hammering of iron and the hiss of boiling oil. Cannons the size of houses are dragged along rail systems from foundry to fortress walls. Everything smells of oil, sulfur, and scorched metal. The people here live for black powder and often die because of it in accidents or sabotage. Excelsis perches near the Spear of Malice, where visions of the future are bought and sold in dusty scrolls. Its towers are slender, etched with wards against the daemons constantly clawing at reality. Prophets hawk glimpses of tomorrow on every corner, but one man's prophecy is another's curse, and the city brims with intrigue, assassinations, and plots driven by glimpses of what might come. Hallowheart practically vibrates with raw arcane power. The streets glow faintly with magical residue. Buildings are carved with endless runes to channel and contain the lethal forces swirling through the realm. Magisters of the Collegiate Arcane patrol the avenues, their robes shimmering with spell wards, always alert for magical breaches that could erupt into city-shattering cataclysms. It's said that even the stones here remember past spells and sometimes whisper secrets to those who listen too closely. Building these cities requires miracles of engineering and endless manpower. Free Guild masons labor alongside Duardin, stonewrights, and elven architects. Massive cranes swing blocks of stone into place. Arcane machines hover bricks into walls. Entire neighborhoods are sometimes rebuilt in days, especially after demonic incursions reduce them to rubble overnight. But the true marvel isn't the stone or mortar, it's the people. Because if you wake up as a citizen of a city of Sigmar, you're not just a cog in a machine. You're part of an astonishingly complex society that somehow holds itself together, even as doom scratches at the gates. The cities of Sigmar are melting pots. Humans, Duarden, Aelves, and even free-spirited Sylvaneth walk the same streets. There's tension, sure. Duarden grumble about tall buildings that block the sun. Aelves sneer at human grime. Humans complain about Duarden prices and elven arrogance, yet they stand together because if they don't, chaos will eat them alive. Society is strictly hierarchical. At the top stand the noble houses, descended from ancient bloodlines or elevated by great deeds in battle. Wealth and connections define power in these cities just as much as martial prowess. Noble mansions tower over marketplaces, built in styles ranging from Baroque Haitian marble to rugged Shamanite metalwork. Below them are the guilds and free traders. The Guilders' Council in many cities wields almost as much power as the nobility, controlling the flow of raw materials, weapons, and food. Merchants in bright robes haggle over silk from Ulgu, spices from Akshi, and rare ores from Chamon. Caravan guards swagger through streets, swords gleaming, each eager to boast of bandits slain on realm bridges. Then come the artisans and laborers, smiths, masons, tanners, weavers, and fishers. These are the lifeblood of the cities. Without them, walls crumble, cannons fall silent, and armies starve. Their lives are hard, back-breaking work, long hours, and constant risk. One slip in a forge or on a scaffold can mean death, or worse, mutation from warp taint seeping through realm gates. At the very bottom lie those barely clinging to survival. Beggars, refugees from war zones, plague survivors. Tattered cloaks and haunted eyes mark them as reminders of how quickly the realms can chew you up and spit you out. Yet even in poverty, hope flickers. Sigmar's priests preach that all souls are equal before the God King. Every festival features processions of Storm-cast statues and hymns praising mortal courage. Banners ripple over streets as fireworks burst above the walls, reminding citizens that they are not alone, that Sigmar watches over them. Still, life in the cities is brutal. Taxes are high to fund constant wars. Food can run short if realm gates close or chaos warbands sever trade routes. Disease festers in cramped districts. Skaven sabotage water supplies. Chaos cults whisper sedition in the shadows. One moment you're selling bread in a sunlit square. The next, the sky cracks open and daemons pour through a rent in reality. And through it all, there's the lurking knowledge that no matter how high your walls, how strong your cannons, or how fervent your prayers, nothing in the mortal realms stays safe forever. Because waking up as a citizen of a city of Sigmar means waking up every day to fight for civilization's survival, even if that fight begins with nothing more glamorous than shoveling rubble or scouring warp taint from bricks before it mutates into tentacles. If you wake up as a citizen of the Cities of Sigmar, your life isn't just defined by walls of stone and regiments of soldiers. It's shaped, sometimes uplifted, sometimes twisted by faith. Because in the mortal realms, gods are real, their miracles and their wrath are as tangible as steel. At the heart of every city stands a grand temple to Sigmar Heldenhammer, the God King who saved humanity from extinction. Some call him the patron of civilization itself. His followers believe that no matter how dark the world becomes, Sigmar's hammer will eventually break the chains of chaos and restore the realms to order. Walk into a Sigmarite cathedral and you'll see vaulted ceilings carved with reliefs of the Heldenhammer in battle, one hand gripping Gal Maraz, the other raised to call down lightning. Golden statues loom above rows of wooden pews. Stained glass windows catch the daylight. If you're lucky enough to live somewhere the sky isn't blackened by forges or warp storms, and paint the flagstones in shifting colors. The faithful gather here daily. Laborers in soot-stained tunics kneel alongside noble women clad in silks, all muttering prayers that their city's walls will hold another dawn. Children press copper coins into donation boxes. Priests in white and blue robes swing braziers that leak thick clouds of incense, reciting liturgies older than memory. But Sigmar isn't the only power worshipped behind the walls. In Hammerhal Gyra, shrines to Alariel, goddess of life, flourish in jade gardens, tended by elves and humans alike. In Hallowheart, mages offer libations to Teclis, hoping to draw the attention of the twin gods of light. Even Grungmi, the Duarden smith god, has hidden forges consecrated in his name. Then there are the secret cults. No matter how many inquisitors patrol the alleys, no matter how many edicts ban forbidden icons, chaos always finds a foothold. In basements and disused cellars, cults to the dark gods fester. Some worship Nurgle, seeking relief from disease by embracing it. Others fall under Zeonsh's promise of hidden knowledge. A few, desperate or mad, pledge themselves to Khorne, willing to trade their souls for the promise of victory over all enemies. These heresies rarely stay secret forever. Witch hunters of the Order of Azir stalk the streets, black-cloaked and masked, carrying iron brands and gleaming silver pistols. When a cult is uncovered, there are no trials, only pyres. And yet faith in Sigmar endures. It has to, because without it, the cities would crack. Every citizen knows that somewhere beyond the walls, daemons scheme, necromancers raise armies of bone, and orc war clans sharpen axes. But faith alone doesn't hold a city. That task falls to its armies. If you wake up as a soldier in a city of Sigmar, your life becomes one long cycle of drill, fear, and blood. The Free Guild forms the backbone of every garrison. These are mortal men and women, farmers' sons, fishers' daughters, or tradesmen who took up pikes and muskets in service of their home. Free Guild companies drill constantly. Pikes are measured to exact lengths, shields inspected for rot and cracks. Muskets are disassembled, cleaned, and reassembled until every soldier can do it, blindfolded. Standards are drilled into memory because in the chaos of battle, recognizing your banner can mean the difference between holding the line and being slaughtered. Most soldiers start as Free Guild guards, pike and halberd formations whose discipline is their greatest strength. Behind them come Free Guild handgunners, veterans who can reload and fire in the time it takes an enemy to cross the killing ground. Free Guild crossbowmen form skirmishing screens, loosing volleys into advancing hordes. Then there are the Free Guild cavaliers, knights on barded destriers, lances gleaming with runes of protection, banners whipping in the wind. A cavalry charge led by cavaliers can shatter an entire flank in moments, but it also takes immense wealth to field them. Many noble houses measure their prestige by the number of cavaliers they can arm. Beyond the Free Guild are other divisions, each more specialized and more dangerous. The Collegiate Arcane maintains companies of battle mages. These wizards study every law of magic, from the pyromancy of Akshai to the lifebloom sorceries of Gyran. When they march to war, they do so in disciplined formations, staffs raised in unison. A single volley of coordinated spells can incinerate siege towers or turn a tide of orcs to ash. Mages are powerful, but they're also feared. The risk of magical catastrophe is real. A single miscast can level a city block. In some cities, like Hallowheart, mages are respected. In others, they're tolerated at best. The Ironweld Arsenal is another pillar of defense. Engineers clad in soot-blackened leathers oversee batteries of artillery, Hellblaster volley guns, great cannons, steam tanks. Each machine is a masterpiece of Dwarden craft and human innovation, capable of shredding entire formations with grapeshot or punching through fortress gates. Steam tanks are marvels, massive armored behemoths powered by volatile engines. Their cannons can flatten monsters, but they are unpredictable. Some have exploded mid-battle in gouts of steam and flame. Together, these forces form a living wall between civilization and oblivion. If you wake up in uniform, expect no glamour. Garrison life is grueling. Patrols last days, armor chafes and rusts, ammunition is scarce, pay is late. And no drill sergeant cares that you once worked a forge or studied the stars on the walls. You're just another body to hold back annihilation. And yet, despite all the hardship, there is pride. The Free Guild may be mortal, but their discipline humbles even Aelven generals. Battle mages might be feared, but their power saves thousands. The Ironweld Arsenal's guns have bought humanity more time than any prayer. In the cities of Sigmar, every soldier knows that one day the alarm bells will toll, the realm gate will flare, and something will come through to kill them all. But until that day, they stand their posts, because the alternative, letting the realms fall, is unthinkable. If you wake up as a citizen of the Cities of Sigmar, it won't take long for you to realize you're living on the knife edge of two worlds, steel and sorcery. For while the cities are bastions of civilization, they're also crucibles of innovation, driven by desperation, genius, and the unending terror of chaos hammering at the gates. Nowhere is that clearer than in the realm of technology and invention, because to live in a city of Sigmar is to exist amid roaring forges, clanging gears, and acrid plumes of smoke. Dwarden engineers and human inventors work side by side, fusing mortal craftsmanship with arcane principles into machines that would terrify most mortals. Step into Greywater Fastness, and you'll choke on the smoke of black powder manufactories. Here, engineers labor tirelessly to perfect artillery designs capable of reducing chaos armies to bloody mist. Hellblaster volley guns stand in long ranks, each with rows of barrels that spit death at rates so fast the barrels glow red hot. When unleashed, they can cut through charging orcs like wheat under a scythe. The great cannons are marvels of Duarden design, each cast from hardened steel and inscribed with runes of stability. They're capable of launching iron spheres the size of a man's chest across entire battlefields, smashing fortress walls and monsters alike. Then there's the pride of the Ironweld arsenal, the steam tank. A mobile fortress on wheels, the steam tank bristles with riveted armor, roaring boilers, and monstrous cannons. Its forward armor is so thick that arrows and blades simply bounce off. Yet for all its power, the steam tank is as dangerous to its crew as to its enemies. Boiler ruptures can scald entire crews alive. Pressure buildups have been known to launch the entire tank skyward in a single catastrophic explosion. But for every grand invention, 1,000 smaller innovations fuel the city's survival. Black powder pistols, grenades, repeater crossbows, and even crude flamethrowers give mortal soldiers a fighting chance against horrors that would otherwise slaughter them wholesale. Engineers tinker endlessly, driven by guild rivalries and the desperate desire for prestige. To invent a more reliable repeater gun or a lighter cannon carriage could mean wealth, fame, and protection from political rivals. Yet technological progress comes at a cost. Factories consume enormous resources, from metal and charcoal to skilled labor. Accidents are frequent. Black powder dust can ignite with a single spark, reducing workshops to rubble. Rumors swirl that Skaven saboteurs infiltrate factories, subtly altering blueprints so that entire weapons caches explode when used. Despite the dangers, the Ironweld Arsenal's motto remains clear: better the city burns than chaos survives. But the cities of Sigmar do not rely on steel alone. They stand on the thin line between science and sorcery. If you wake up as a citizen in one of these cities, you'll soon discover that magic is both a shield and a dagger. In the cities, magic is as common as bricks and mortar, but 10 times as dangerous. Chief among those who wield arcane might are the collegiate arcane, the scholarly order of battle mages, spellwrights, and researchers who study every wind of magic. They are men and women of astonishing talent, and of equally astonishing hubris. A typical battle mage wears flowing robes inscribed with sigils of protection. Around his neck might hang amulets crackling with stored spell energy. Staffs of enchanted wood or rune-etched iron hum with restrained power, ready to unleash hurricanes of fire or bolts of frozen air. Yet magic is no simple tool. It's a roaring tide of pure chaos, impossible to fully tame. In Hallowheart, magic is so dense in the air that even the stones glow faintly, whispering secrets in hushed tones. Here, wizards conduct rituals of staggering power, shaping the realms themselves. Yet Hallowheart is a city forever on the brink of annihilation, for a single miscast spell can shatter entire districts. Citizens carry small tokens of warding, carved with runes to protect against arcane fallout. In Excelsis, seers and diviners glean glimpses of the future from the Spear of Malice, a colossal shard of the world that was driven into the earth like a celestial blade. Prophets emerge from visions trembling, eyes clouded with secrets, and often drive entire political factions into chaos with a single whispered prediction. Magic shapes every facet of city life. Engineers use minor spells to stabilize cranes hoisting stone blocks. Artificers forge weapons bound with runes of accuracy. Physicians wield healing magics to close wounds and stave off infection. But the line between salvation and doom is razor thin. A battle mage might conjure a tidal wave of fire to obliterate a daemon horde, only to accidentally incinerate an entire battalion of Free Guild soldiers standing too close. A spell to control the winds might rip open a hole into the realm of chaos. Even minor charms can backfire, twisting a simple light spell into a chain reaction that burns down half a neighborhood. For this reason, many citizens regard wizards with equal parts awe and terror. In some cities, mages walk openly, respected as heroes. In others, they're regarded with deep suspicion. There's also the ever-present threat of chaos corruption. The winds of magic are fickle. They carry whispers, visions, temptations. A mage who peers too deeply into the secrets of the ether might start hearing voices promising greater power for just a tiny sacrifice. Cults of Tzeentch thrive in cities where magic is strong, offering knowledge in exchange for loyalty. And the consequences of corruption are catastrophic. A single sorcerer turned cultist can open realm gates to demonic legions. In Hallowheart, it's said that an entire district once collapsed into a swirling void because a magister tried to understand the true nature of Shyish. The city elders covered it up by walling off the district and declaring it cursed. No one goes near it now. Yet despite the risks, the cities cannot abandon magic. It's too potent a weapon and too vital a tool for survival. If you wake up as a mage, your days will be consumed by study, rituals, and constant vigilance against your own ambition. You'll taste the raw power of the mortal realms and tremble at how easily it might consume you. Because in the cities of Sigmar, magic is salvation and damnation in equal measure. If you wake up as a citizen of the Cities of Sigmar, you'll quickly realize that even behind high walls, your survival depends on allies. Because the mortal realms are a battlefield of cosmic proportions, and no city can stand alone. The alliances of the Cities of Sigmar are as intricate as their streets. Foremost among their allies are the Stormcast Eternals, the golden demigods forged by Sigmar himself. To see a phalanx of Stormcast Eternals marching through city gates is to glimpse hope incarnate. Their Sigmarite plate glitters like starlight. Hammers as big as anvils rest upon their shoulders. Every step they take seems to shake the ground. But if you wake up as an ordinary citizen, don't expect the Stormcast to be approachable. They are not men and women anymore, not entirely. They've died once, perhaps many times, their souls reforged by Sigmar's divine forge. Each reforging strips away more of who they were. Some return colder, emotionless, haunted by visions they can't explain. Still, the Stormcast remain the ultimate shield. When chaos hosts batter the city gates, it's the Stormcast who fall from the skies like thunderbolts, smashing demonic skulls and holding the line. Entire cities have survived sieges only because Stormcast arrived in the final hour, yet even they can't be everywhere. And so, the cities maintain delicate ties with other races, alliances sometimes born of trust, sometimes of pure necessity. Among the most vital allies are the elves. Whether it's the stately Lumineth realm lords, the nimble scourge privateers of Ulgu, or the deadly daughters of Kaina, the elves bring unmatched skill to the battlefield. Lumineth warriors wield blade and spell with perfect precision. Scourge privateers serve as naval escorts, keeping trade routes open and occasionally engaging in discreet piracy on behalf of city interests. The daughters of Kain are a terrifying ally, their cults led by blood-soaked priestesses, but their talent for assassination and rapid strikes has saved many a city from chaos infiltration. The cities also maintain bonds with the Duardin. Greywater Fastness practically runs on Duardin craftsmanship. Duardin masons raise walls that can shrug off siege engines. Duardin engineers perfect the black powder weapons that arm the city's cannons, and if enemies breach the walls, Duardin shield walls can plug the gaps until reinforcements arrive. Yet alliances with Duardin are never simple. The Duardin keep detailed grudge books, and an unpaid debt or insulted ancestor can turn cooperation into icy silence overnight. Still, when Duardin and humans stand together, they form a bulwark that even chaos finds hard to crack. Even stranger are alliances with the Seraphim. The scaled children of Azir appear when least expected, descending from starlight on shimmering beams. To mortals, the Seraphim seem like gods made flesh, reptilian warriors, cloaked in cosmic energy, wielding weapons forged of pure light. No one truly understands their motives. They speak little, appear suddenly, fight battles and vanish just as quickly. Yet when the Seraphim intervene, entire demonic legions can be wiped away in moments. Trade and diplomacy form the arteries connecting these alliances. Cities of Sigmar send caravans across the realms, exchanging metals, spices, warpstone, silk, and arcane knowledge. Diplomatic envoys travel under banners bearing Sigmar's twin-tailed comet, carrying gifts and promises of mutual defense. But trust in the mortal realms is fragile. Even among allies, suspicion festers. Cities remember betrayals. Elves remember human greed. Dwarden remember debts. And always, lurking beneath every handshake, is the gnawing fear that any ally could turn, or already has. Because the cities of Sigmar have no shortage of enemies. If you wake up as a citizen, you will learn to recognize the signs of an imminent attack. The ground trembling beneath a gargant's footsteps. The sudden chill as a night-haunt procession slips through city gates. Or worse, the silence that falls before a chaos host slams into the walls like a crimson tide. Khorne's warriors howl for blood, their axes heavy with skulls. Nurgle's plague hosts ooze across fields, turning crops to sludge and filling the air with buzzing flies. Tzaentch's sorcerers slip into cities disguised as scholars, weaving plots to turn entire districts against the city watch. Slaaneish's followers twist mortal desires into corruption, seducing officials into treason for a whisper of forbidden bliss. A single cultist can doom a city. A few runes carved into a realm gate can turn it into a portal for demonic invasion. Entire noble families have been executed because one member fell to chaos whispers. But chaos is only one threat. The Orc warclans rage across the realms, driven by an endless hunger for battle. Greenskin hordes crash into city walls with brutal force. Gargants topple towers like children smashing toys. Even well-trained Free Guild regiments can be overwhelmed by the sheer ferocity of an Orc. Waagh. Then there are the Skaven, a nightmare beneath the streets. If you wake up in a city of Sigmar, you will hear rumors of Skaven tunnels snaking beneath every district. Skaven gnaw through stone, plant warp bombs, poison wells, and collapse entire quarters from below. Citizens vanish without a trace, snatched into the dark by clawed paws. Every city has a rat catchers guild. Their job isn't just to deal with vermin, but to kill Skaven spies before they open the gates from within. Beyond mortal threats lurk the undead legions of Nagash. Skeleton hosts march in perfect silence, wielding rusting swords. Corpse carts roll through mist-filled streets, dripping necrotic fluids. Vampire lords slip into cities disguised as nobles, founding secret cabals of blood cultists. Nagash's ambitions know no limit. He claims every mortal soul as his rightful property. Cities that fall to his hosts become silent charnel houses, their citizens added to Nagash's endless ranks. Shyiash's winds carry spirits that hunger for mortal flesh. In Akshi, volcanic eruptions can bury entire districts under rivers of molten rock. Gur's jungles invade city walls overnight, strangling stone towers in vines thick as a man's torso. And even within the cities, treachery flourishes. Politicians plot to seize power. Rival guilds sabotage each other's goods. Corrupt officers sell secrets to enemy scouts. Chaos cults grow like mold, infecting the highest officers. No one can ever be sure who to trust. If you wake up as a citizen, you'll learn quickly your worst nightmare isn't always the monster battering down the gates. Sometimes it's the neighbor smiling across the street, hiding a warp-touched dagger in his sleeve. This is why the cities of Sigmar stand ever vigilant. Every wall is watched. Every rumor is investigated. Every feast might end in executions if suspicious guests whisper heresy, because in the mortal realms, enemies are everywhere. And for mortals, the price of letting down your guard is always death, or something far worse. If you wake up as a citizen of the Cities of Sigmar, one thing you'll quickly learn is that, while your city might feel like the center of the universe, it's just one fortress among many, and each city has its own legends, its own heroes, and its own secrets. These are the famous cities and figures whose stories shape the fate of mortals across the realms. Above all towers the might of Hammerhal, the twin-tailed city, a monument to Sigmar's vision and mortal resilience. Hammerhal is more than a city. It's two cities in one, straddling a realm gate that connects Akshi and Gairan. In Hammerhal Aksha, the streets blaze under a searing sun, forged smoke curling through avenues lined with smithies, gunworks, and the roaring markets of the Ironworld. In Hammerhal Jira, jade towers rise over gardens alive with emerald vines, fresh springs flow through aqueducts, and healers ply their craft in marble halls echoing with birdsong. Yet Hammerhal is never safe. Its realm gate is a prize every Chaos warlord wants. Skaven plot in its sewers, Duarden machinists feud in its workshops, and whispers of secret cults drift through its markets like smoke. Then there's Greywater Fastness, the iron bastion of Gairan. Here, the walls are streaked black with soot, cannons line the battlements, engineers scurry through foundries that never sleep. It's a city that lives and breathes gunpowder. Entire streets are reserved for munition storage. Some citizens say the ground itself vibrates from constant artillery testing. But Greywater's obsession with black powder has bred tensions with Gairan's Sylvaneth, who view the city as a blight upon nature. Excelsis stands beside the Spear of Malice, a colossal fragment of the world that was driven into the mortal realms like a god's spear thrust. Prophets gather around the spear, selling visions of the future to anyone with enough coin. Politics in Excelsis is a lethal game driven by prophecy and paranoia. Noble houses rise and fall overnight. Merchants stake fortunes on glimpses of tomorrow, sometimes true, often catastrophic. Beneath the silver towers, assassins ply their trade in shadows lit by green warp lanterns. Hallowheart, the city of secrets, is a blazing cauldron of arcane power. Magic here isn't just practiced, it saturates the stones. Wizards of the collegiate arcane duel in the streets, or disappear into labyrinthine libraries for years, emerging clutching scrolls of dangerous knowledge. Citizens live under constant threat of arcane disasters, magical storms, spontaneous reality tears, or outbreaks of uncontrolled elemental creatures. Yet Hallowheart produces some of the finest mages in the mortal realms, heroes whose spells have turned the tide of entire wars. Among the figures who stand as pillars of mortal resolve are legends like Marshal Adriel, the Iron Rose of Hammerhal. She commands Hammerhal's Free Guild armies with ruthless precision. Stories say she once held the Akshian Gate against 3 separate daemon assaults, rallying troops by executing officers who fled. Or Magister Vorlon, master of Hallowheart's collegiate arcane, who single-handedly sealed a chaos rift threatening to consume the city. Witnesses say his hair turned pure white in a single night, and his eyes glow faintly purple ever since. In Greywater Fastness, engineer, Lord Borgrund Runeson is known for inventing a Hellblaster variant capable of firing molten metal slugs. Unfortunately, his first test run vaporized half a city block, but the city elders praised the spirit of innovation. Even merchants can become legends. In Excelsis, Lady Soriel Darkan built her fortune-trading prophecy scrolls, and once bankrupted 2 rival houses in a single day by leaking false visions. Some say she's part of a secret cabal that manipulates the spear's prophecies for profit. If you wake up in one of these cities, you might brush shoulders with such figures without ever realizing it. Heroes and villains walk the same streets as bakers and blacksmiths, and every mortal famous or forgotten lives under the same sky of looming doom. Because for all their towers and triumphs, the cities of Sigmar are fragile, and nowhere is that clearer than in the everyday struggle faced by ordinary citizens. If you wake up as a commoner in the cities of Sigmar, Prepare for a life of relentless toil. Your dawn might begin under the clang of church bells. Priests of Sigmar bellow prayers from balconies, calling citizens to devotion and reminding them that chaos is ever near. You rise from a straw mattress in a single-room dwelling, sharing space with 6 family members and, sometimes, rats. You step into streets paved with stone polished smooth by countless boots, only to find them crowded with traders hauling crates, soldiers marching in formation, and Duardin cursing as they shove barrels of black powder toward the fortress walls. Your work might be in a forge, hammering out nails or sword blanks for the Free Guild, or in the dye works, your hands stained purple from vats bubbling with chemicals brought in from distant realms, or in the quarries, breaking stone under skies black with soot. In the marketplaces, merchants scream over one another, hawking warp-resistant fabrics, enchanted lamp oils, and pickled eel from Ulgu's shadowy coasts. But food is expensive. Bread prices spike whenever Orruk warbands raid supply lines. Meat often comes from creatures most would rather not name. Taxes are brutal. The city must pay for endless wars, new cannons, repairs to realm gates, bribes to Duardin craftsmen, and inquisitions against chaos cults. If you can't pay, the City Watch arrives to seize your goods or your children as conscripts. Disease festers in poor districts. In Hallowheart, magical residue poisons the air, leaving some coughing emerald sparks. In Greywater Fastness, black powder dust fills lungs with grit. In Excelsis, prophetic visions drive citizens mad, causing them to wander into the streets babbling secrets that should never be spoken. And even when the city feels safe, there's always fear lurking in the shadows. One day, the Watch might arrest your neighbor for secret chaos worship. The next day, your street collapses into a sinkhole dug by skaven saboteurs. A friend might vanish, kidnapped for sacrifice to dark gods, or simply caught in the wrong place during a daemon incursion. People learn to be wary, to speak in hushed tones, to keep secrets. Yet despite it all, the cities endure. Festivals still blaze with color, fireworks exploding above city walls. Parades of Stormcast statues wind through streets as citizens cheer and cry. In temples, priests swear that Sigmar watches over every mortal. Children chase each other through alleyways, wooden swords clashing, pretending to be heroes. Because if mortals give up hope, the realms fall. If you wake up as a citizen of the Cities of Sigmar, you'll discover a life defined by terror and triumph in equal measure. You'll work until your hands bleed. Pray that today the gates hold, and cling to the slim chance that you might rise to fame, or at least survive another sunrise. Because in the mortal realms, survival itself is a victory. If you wake up as a citizen of the Cities of Sigmar, sooner or later you'll come face to face with a truth that every mortal learns in the realms. Being mortal is the greatest curse, and the greatest triumph of all. Because this is the hidden cost of living in the Cities of Sigmar. From the outside, mortals might seem insignificant beside gods and daemons. They're fragile, easily killed, short-lived. In a world where Stormcast Eternals stride like golden titans and elves live for centuries, mortals are little more than sparks that gutter out in a blink. Yet mortals pay the highest price for civilization. They die in droves defending walls against chaos hordes. They labor until their fingers split open, forging weapons to arm Free Guild regiments. They spill blood to keep realm gates open, to keep markets bustling, to keep hope alive. And even if you survive the battlefield, mortality still hunts you. No matter how loyal you are to Sigmar, plague might sweep through your district, a collapsing mine might bury you, a sudden chaos raid might snatch your children from their beds. The realms are filled with horrors capable of snuffing out thousands of lives in moments. Yet being mortal in the Cities of Sigmar also means daring to believe that tomorrow can be better. Because despite everything, the sieges, the assassins, the whispering cults mortals build. They raise cities from rubble, they forge alliances. They innovate, crafting black powder weapons, channeling magic, constructing walls so high they block out the sun. They create art, tell stories, sing hymns to Sigmar, and dream of futures free from chaos. Even amid the horror, the cities blaze with life. Walk the streets at night, and you'll hear laughter drifting from taverns where soldiers swap tales of monstrous beasts they've slain. You'll smell spices from Akshi mixing with Gyran herbs. You'll see children chasing fireflies under lanterns glowing with gentle Haitian light. Because being mortal means you burn bright, even if only for a moment. And that's what the enemies of Sigmar can never understand. The Chaos Gods are eternal, but they feel no love for a city built stone by stone. Daemons do not weep over fallen comrades. They do not dream of grandchildren growing up safe behind city walls. They only devour, corrupt, and destroy. But mortals endure. When the realm gates fail, mortals carve secret tunnels. When daemons rampage, mortals rebuild. When Skaven collapse a city district, masons return the next day with hammers and mortar. When entire legions fall, new soldiers step forward to take up pikes. If you wake up as a citizen of the Cities of Sigmar, your life will be drenched in fear. But you'll also know loyalty, courage, and hope. And though you'll always be one heartbeat away from death, you'll fight on because mortals refuse to bow to oblivion. That's why the Cities of Sigmar still stand, even if every sunrise might be the last. And so we come to the end of our journey through the streets, walls, and secrets of the Cities of Sigmar. Thank you for wandering these stone avenues with us here at Realm Lore Mops. If you enjoyed peeking behind the banners and battlements of Sigmar's bastions, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop us a comment about which Mortal Realms tales you'd love to explore next, or which cities you've painted armies for. Until next time, remember, in the Mortal Realms, a single mortal spark can hold back a tide of darkness, even if the price is everything.